Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. As promised, in my last video I talked to you about CAT prep strategy from February, and I talked about the fact that I'll be doing specific section wise videos for each section strategy for CAT preparation from February. So in today's session I'm going to talk about the quantitative aptitude section, QA section की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग आज. And in this section, how should you prepare? मतलब मेरा एक simple structure, one simple structure that I talk about. Oops, yeah. So a simple structure I talk about always is that when you are talking about preparation or strategy for anything, one of the key elements of any strategy always has to be where you are and where you want to go. So we will talk about this in the context of the score-oriented strategy for quants, because when you talk about strategy, where you want to go becomes an important aspect. So the first thing that I tell people when you're talking about your strategy you're building for quants, what is your score target, right? So as you know, in CAT 2023, the quant section was the toughest section of all quant sections that we have seen in CAT over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and that's talking a lot because CAT toughness in quants has been established over the last 20 years. Those 20 years framework में सबसे difficult paper CAT 23 था, so which we all know, and this was evidence from the fact that barely at 8 or 9 questions correct, 26 marks roughly, which would get 8 to 9 questions correct, all correct agar somebody is solving, you would get a 99 percentile in that paper. And out of 22 questions, 9 questions correct is obviously not even barely around 40% of the paper. If you can solve, you get a 99 percentile, which means that just 1% people were able to solve 40% of the paper correctly without any errors, and that's the opportunity that you have. So let's say we are talking about a target. So you start defining a percentile target. Of course, the paper can be slightly easier again, because when you talk about CAT 24, think about it this way. When you want to prepare, think about it this way: the paper can remain at the same level, the paper can go up, or the paper can come down. So you should be ready for all three. When you talk about preparation strategy, your strategy should not be focused कि वैसा paper आएगा तो मैं उसी का तैयारी करूँ. Your preparation should be such कि paper easy आ गया, it should be your advantage. Paper same रह गया, it should be to your advantage. And paper और difficult आ गया तो भी तुम्हारे advantage. It should play to your advantage. In case you prepare haphazardly, then what happens is you only prepared for a specific kind of paper, and if the paper is easy, it becomes a disadvantage, or the paper becomes tougher, it becomes a disadvantage. उस तरह से तैयारी नहीं करना चाहिए. I mean, because if you prepare that way, then preparation का मतलब क्या है? Preparation का मतलब है कि तुमको it should give you an advantage, a competitive advantage over your competitors because of what you have done. So just remember this from CAT 23. Chances of paper becoming more difficult, I would put it pretty low. I mean, I would rate the probability to be pretty low, but to cover all your bases, most likely this is going to happen in CAT 24. The paper level might remain same, the paper level might go down. In both cases, it should play to your positive. I mean, it should be a positive for you. It should play to your competitive advantage. And of course, if 1% chance, 2% chance, 5% chance, you can never know unless the paper comes out, if the paper actually becomes tough, then even in that case, it should be an advantage for you. That's how your preparation should be. So start with the target in mind. Of course, in a paper of this level, the level CAT 23 was, you get 25, 27 marks, you will get a 99 percentile. You'll be able to maintain a 99 percentile score. In a CAT 22, 21 kind of paper, this number might go up to around 12, 13 questions. So you might have to solve around 36, 39 marks worth of score to get a 99 percentile in easier paper. So essentially, let's say you are targeting a 99 percentile. So you are targeting maybe a 25 to a 35, depending on the paper difficulty level. If you are targeting a 99.5, just add 10 marks to this. And every 10 marks you add, if you can get to 45 in the CAT 23 kind of paper, you're pretty much the 100th percentile. you're scoring 100 percentile in that exam. So, so 10 marks, every 10 marks you add to that zone, to that range, you are getting closer to the 100 percentile. So 10 marks plus will give you 99.5, 20 marks plus will give you 100 percentile in both these papers. So in a CAT 22, 21 kind of paper, out of 66 marks, 22 questions, you'll have to look at scoring 55, which means you pretty much need to solve 19, 20 questions correct out of 22 if you want to score 100 percentile in a CAT 22, 21 kind of paper. In a CAT 23 kind of paper, you need to be solving 15, 16 questions correctly, maybe couple of errors, so that you get 48 minus 2, 3 marks, so you are still at 45. So 16 questions correctly should get you to 100 percentile in a CAT 23 kind of paper. So you define your targets, you define your strategy, you define your structure, and based on this, then your preparation, of course, has to go through 2 stages. The first stage of your preparation, fun fact says not able to solve what's high order thinking skills, what to do. I'll come to that. So the first stage, I mean, you have to break your preparation into 2 parts. The portion completion phase and the testing phase. And this on the timeline, starting from February, we are talking about CAT prep from February. So starting from February, your portion completion phase should not take you more than June. I mean, typically, if you go 1 week per chapter, there are around 20 chapters spread across these 5 blocks, 8 chapters of arithmetic, 2 chapters of number systems and progressions. That's how I have organized the QA portion in my QA for CAT book. The 11th edition of which is going to come out this year. A lot of you have been asking me. So we are expecting the 11th edition to be out in the market by May end. I'm working on it right now. So next 2 months it should be out. And I'm trying to include a lot of the cross-functionality, etc. of questions that happen. So a lot of people keep asking me this question ki CAT 23 mein hua kya tha? The 2 things happened. One that happened was multidisciplinary questions. That means you would have a question which would be a mix of logarithms and arithmetic progressions. So unless you know both chapters well, you could not solve that question, right? Somebody who had done selective preparation was completely ruled out, because even if you knew half the 80% of the question, if one of the components of the question came from something which you had not done well, or chapter you had not done well, you are completely out. So selective preparation वाले 70%, 80% लोग तो ऐसे ही कट गए उसमें, जिन्होंने 8 चैप्टर अच्छे किए थे, 12-13 चैप्टर ऑफ एंड ऑन किया था, या कुछ चैप्टर एकदम नहीं छुए थे, they completely got wiped out. The other thing that happened was, अब जैसे suppose I talk about let's say a compound interest question. तो compound interest question अगर मैं तुमको दे रहा हूँ with let's say a number like 100, कि 100 rupees invest हुआ 8% per annum, तो what happens, it's in your control, the numbers are in your control. But instead of that, if I give you the same question with a number like 22,920 rupees invested, so something like that, so those numbers became larger, and unfortunately for a lot of people, the calculators are not working so well in this thing. So a lot of chaos happened in the quant section for a lot of people, because a compound interest question, 8% per annum compound interest calculation on a number like 22,920, and that to 7-8 calculations like that, is very difficult to get a very precise answer if you're doing it mentally, even at very high this thing. So that's one of the other problems that happened. And even if your calculator was working, you actually needed exactly the right steps to know to be able to do it, to do those questions. So ये factor हो गया. The second factor, third factor एक चीज और हुआ, which was evidence in questions like permutation, combination, etc. I mean, if you look at CAT 4-5 years back, a question on permutation, combination, you need to calculate 2 different things, add them and get the answer. अब क्या हो रहा है कि you have to calculate 5-6 different things to get one answer. So उसमें 6 चीज़ों में से, so पहले क्या था, A plus B equals the answer. So you calculate A, calculate B, get the answer. अब क्या हो रहा है, calculate A, calculate B, calculate C, calculate D, calculate E, calculate F, and then you add all of them to get the answer. और A, B, C, D, F में एक भी अगर गलत हो गया, तो you got no clue कि तुम right हो कि wrong हो, because the question would be a theta question. So that is the other theme that happened. So you have to be very sure of your processes and be able to execute a process 6 times over to get to one correct answer. So that's basically what created the chaos in the paper. And if you want to prepare for CAT going forward, you have to be ready for it. And of course, as I said, I'm trying to include a lot of this in my 11th edition of a lot of experience of this in my 11th edition of the CAT Quants book, which will come out in May anyway, this year. Anyway, coming back, so the 5 blocks to study: 8 chapters of arithmetic, 2 chapters of number systems, 4 chapters of algebra, 3 chapters of geometry, and 3 chapters of modern maths. Geometry, mensuration, coordinate geometry, and modern maths is permutation, combination, probability, and set theory. So this is the 20 chapter framework that you're talking about. Or broadly, you'll get around 8 to 10 questions from here. You'll get around 3 to 5 questions from here. You'll get around 3 to 7 questions from here. You'll get around 3 to 5 questions from here, and you'll get between 1 to 4 questions from here. So that's the basically breakup. And if you take a 20-week thumb rule, I mean, depends on how much time you're going to take to do one chapter. I also, when we talk about preparation, one of the key factors of preparation for Quant specifically is going to be the multiple rounds approach. That means you're going to approach every chapter multiple times. You don't try to study, or don't try to push yourself to go from 0 to hero on a chapter in one go. Allow yourself 3-4 visits to the chapter so that you keep growing every time you go to the chapter. Because otherwise what happens is you're putting too much pressure on yourself on that single visit to the chapter to learn everything that is there in the chapter, which is difficult for people who are slightly weaker. And maybe if you are already strong at a chapter, one visit might make you ready for it. But even then, by default, structurally भी तुम सोच सकते हो कि मतलब लेट्स से यू गो टू अ शूटिंग कॉम्पिटिशन और तुम्हारे पास एक बुलेट है और एक गन है और तुमको बलून को शूट करना है, तो इट्स बिकम्स इट्स मोर ऑफ अ लॉटरी दैन इफ यू गॉट 3 bullets to shoot that single balloon. So obviously multiple rounds becomes a very important aspect of this. And when I'm saying portion coverage, I'm here basically talking about the first round of everything. So all the chapters का first round तुम्हारा complete हो जाना चाहिए June end तक. If you are a repeater, maybe you can do this in slightly faster. So if I was in a repeater phase, I might have taken 4 days per chapter, 4 days per chapter for my first visit this year on every chapter. If I'm a first time preparation student, then I'll take 7 days per chapter. But just because I am saying 7 days per chapter does not mean कि तुम 7 days per chapter को ही stick करो. हो सकता है तुम्हारा लर्निंग स्टाइल या तुम्हारा लर्निंग स्पीड थोड़ा स्लो हो फर्स्ट राउंड के लिए. You might take a little bit more time to visit a chapter in the first go. What is more important, do it well, right? So क्या है कि 20 chapters 7 days per chapter 140 days में ख़त्म हो जाएगा. अगर तुम सपोज 7 days per chapter के टारगेट से स्टार्ट करते हो, तुम्हारा 10 days per chapter हो रहा है, बट एंड यू नीड दोज एक्स्ट्रा 3 days to do it well, तो क्या होगा कि 10 days per chapter में 140 days में 14 chapters होगा, तो योर प्रिपरेशन विल गेट एक्सटेंडेड. बट ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि यू आर नॉट गेटिंग थ्रू, राइट? ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि तुम्हारा काम नहीं हो रहा है. सो ऑलवेज रिमेंबर दिस, ऑलवेज रिमेंबर दिस फैक्टर कि यू शुड बी रेडी to vary that time frame. And of course within your preparation also, some chapters might be faster, some chapters might be slower. So agar there are a couple of chapters which you're slightly better at than others, so you can always balance. Suppose some chapters are more difficult for you to understand and work on, उसमें तुम 10 days per chapter जा भी रहे हो, तो कुछ chapters में हो सकता है तुम 5 days per chapter करके average तुम 8 पे ले आओगे rather than keeping it at 10. So that's, you'll keep fighting for it, right? But at the same time, just keep moving ahead. Just make sure that you're moving ahead. Just make sure that every 10 days, one chapter more goes into your rear mirror, if not faster than that. And as I said, if I'm a repeater who's already prepared for this exam and I'm okay at maths, I might want to visit my first rounds only in 4 days. So in that case, my first round of preparation will take 80 days. So by the end of April, I should be done mostly. And as I said, अगर 7 days per chapter होगा तो जून एंड में तुम्हारा फर्स्ट राउंड ऑफ प्रिपरेशन कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. और अगर तुम 10 days per chapter कर रहे हो तो क्या होगा कि जून एंड तक तुम्हारे 4 चैप्टर बचे रहेंगे. सो मोर और लेस तुम्हारा प्रिपरेशन 80% तो कंप्लीट हो ही जाएगा. लास्ट 4 चैप्टर बचे रहेंगे, उसको जुलाई में आराम से कर लो. बिकॉज वन थिंग यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इज कि वंस यू फिनिश द क्वांट्स पोर्शन, उसके बाद तुमको कुछ स्पेसिफिक पढ़ाई नहीं करनी है. मतलब करनी है ऑफ कोर्स, बट ऐसा कोई पोर्शन कवरेज का प्रेशर नहीं होगा. अभी क्या है कि एवरी वीक एक नया चैप्टर तुम्हारे हेड पे आ रहा है, बट वंस योर 20th चैप्टर इज ओवर यू एग्जिट दैट न्यू प्रेशर एवरी वीक. उसके बाद तुमको सिर्फ रिविजन्स और रिविजिट्स करने हैं. तो रिविजन्स रिविजिट्स में क्या होगा कि जुलाई to October में you'll have a lot of time because you're only taking tests and you are looking at your test scores and you are going back to the chapters to revisit those chapters. So there's no new chapters happening because the new chapters are over. So इसलिए उतना बड़ा इशू भी नहीं है अगर जून को तुम 30th जुलाई कर दो या 10th अगस्त कर दो, लेकिन ideally try to finish it off in June end. But again, as I said, अगर तुम एक्सटेंड कर रहे हो उसको, मेक श्योर दैट यू आर गेटिंग अ बैंग फॉर योर बक. जो एक्स्ट्रा टाइम तुम ले रहे हो उसमें देयर हैज टू बी सम वैल्यू फॉर दैट यू आर गिविंग एंड इन योर स्पेसिफिक केस, राइट. इफ यू आर प्रीपोनिंग इट टू April, great. If those of you who are good at maths or who have already prepared can do that, because you really don't, I mean, ultimately when you visit a chapter, what do? You do three things in a chapter. There are three broad things that you do when you visit a chapter. Let's say you start off with a chapter in arithmetic. Let's say you go into time and work. तो क्या करते हो time and work में? You study the theory and then you study problem solving. और problem solving दो format में study होता है. एक होता है assisted, which means somebody is teaching you how to solve questions, और दूसरा होता है self. So bottom line, in every chapter, what is the target? The target, when can you say that you are ready for the chapter and you are closing the chapter, your skill level on the chapter is over? जब तुम किसी चैप्टर में 250 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर लियो अपने से सेल्फ में विदाउट एनी असिस्टेंस, दैट्स द थंब रूल फॉर जनरली टेलिंग योर सेल्फ कि आई एम रेडी फॉर दिस टॉपिक. एंड देन आफ्टर दैट द वर्क इज मोस्टली ऑन एफिशिएंसी. सो योर राउंड 2, राउंड 3, राउंड 4 जो तुम आओगे ऑन मोस्ट ऑफ दीज टॉपिक्स ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम, एंड मे बी यू कैन डू सम टॉपिक्स राउंड 2s हियर ऑल्सो. सो सैम्पल स्ट्रक्चर कुड बी, you could take a structure like this, that you take an 8-week time period for your arithmetic, 8 chapters, and then take a 3-week time period for your number systems. You can take a 3 to 4 week time period for number systems, which includes number systems and progressions for that second block. And once you reach this point, और अगला 4 हफ्ता तुम्हारा algebra है, let's say, if that is your plan of chapters, the 4 chapters of logs, quadratic equations, functions and inequalities, if that is your next plan, instead of doing this in 4 weeks, you can put it to 6 weeks, and you can do round 2s of these 8 chapters during the 6 weeks. And please remember, round 2 में जब आओगे, you're not going to obviously study the theory again unless there's something you've forgotten. So most of the time what you're doing in round 2 is you're going to be essentially revisiting the questions you have solved and trying questions you could not do in the first round. That's what you're doing, and maybe picking up more questions and solving more questions. So mostly round 2, round 3 is more about problem solving only. It's not about, it's learning through problem solving, because किसी भी chapter में when you're studying quants, you're learning 90% of your learning is through problem solving. It's just 10% of the learning that comes through so it's only 10%. I'm just looking at the chats. Sorry, I was not looking at the chats here. Okay, so no specific message which I need to reply to at this point. So broadly, round 1 में अगर तुम किसी chapter में जा रहे हो, you're spending 20 hours on that chapter. Let's say you're watching videos or you're doing classes for 4 to 6 hours, and then 15 hours you're doing your self problem solving of that. The round 2, 20 hours का first round visit है किसी chapter में, second round visit might just be 8 hours. It will be 40-50% of the first round, which is why by default, if the first round is 7 into 20, 140 days, the second round will be 60 to 70 days. And the third round, when you come to, the third round might just be a 4-hour visit. By the time you come to the 4th round, if you require 4th round in some chapters, after the 3rd round you realize that this chapter is still not working for me in the mocks, I'm still not able to solve CAT questions of this topic. So when you come back to the 4th round of that chapter and you decide to do it, maybe the 4th round might just be 2-3 hours. 4th round तो ऐसे भी होता है कि सुबह बैठे तो शाम को 4 chapter खत्म है. So that's why you have the time to do multiple rounds. It's just how you organize your structure of preparation. So this is what you need to ensure, and always keep tracking. I mean, एक चीज़ always track करो. देखो, let's get back to the score objective. तुम्हारा अगर score objective 30 है, early 30s का score objective है, which should be a fair objective to have, a 99 percentile level kind of objective. In last year's 23 paper as well as 22 kind of paper, if you're targeting 30s, it would mean that out of 22 questions, you're looking at getting value for around 10 to 12 correct answers. ठीक है, maybe 12 correct answers, 3 wrong answers, kind of situation is what will give you early 30s score wise. ठीक है, to be able to do 12 questions in 40 minutes, and this I talked about in my general video also on general preparation. To be able to do 12 questions in 40 minutes, I should be able to, if I'm given 80 minutes on the same paper, I should be able to do, I should be somebody who should be able to do 17, 18. If I know, if my knowledge is 18 out of 22, then I can expect to convert 12 out of 22 under pressure, under time pressure. So always keep tracking how much ability I've built up. So what you do is you try to measure right at the start. What you do is pick up a few sectional tests. किसी का भी उठा लो या कैट का ही पेपर उठा के देख लो. ठीक है, बहुत स्टडी मत करना कैट पेपर को, बिकॉज यू विल वांट आल्सो टू यूज़ द कैट पेपर्स फॉर लेटर मॉक टेस्ट एक्सेट्रा. लेकिन तुम क्या करोगे, तुम देखोगे अच्छा 22 क्वेश्चन जो है अभी मेरा करंट नॉलेज है, जो स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट पे मेरे को कितने आते हैं, 3 आते हैं, 4 आते हैं, 10 आते हैं, 15 आते हैं, आई डोंट नो, डिपेंड्स ऑन योर क्वांट स्किल्स. सो यू शुड नो कि ओके आई नो ऑन एन एवरेज आई नो 5 क्वेश्चन. मैंने 3 कैट के पेपर सेक्शन देखे क्वांट्स के, मेरे को तीनों पेपर में एवरेज 5 क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं आउट ऑफ 22, जिसमें मेरे को समझ में आ रहा है क्या करना है, एंड आई थिंक आई कैन गेट टू द आंसर देयर. सो इफ़ यू आर एट 5 currently, the preparation objective, if you want to get to a point where you can solve 12 out of 22 in 40 minutes, then your knowledge has to go to around 17, 18, because it can't happen कि तुमको 12 क्वेश्चन आते थे और तुम 12 के 12 सॉल्व कर दिए एग्जाम में, बिकॉज एग्जाम में टाइम प्रेशर होता है, एग्जाम प्रेशर होता है, राइट. सो टाइम प्रेशर अगर हटा के तुम क्वेश्चन पेपर को देखोगे तो तुमको 17-18 के आसपास आना चाहिए टू बी एबल टू सॉल्व 10 to 12 इन द एक्चुअल पेपर. अगर तुमको 15-16 सॉल्व करना है तो यू हैव टू नो अराउंड 20 क्वेश्चंस, राइट. अगर तुमको 18-19 सॉल्व करना है तो तुमको 22 के 22 सब क्वेश्चन जानने पड़ेंगे. यू कैन नॉट कम अक्रॉस फ्यू क्वेश्चन दैट यू डोंट नो इन द पेपर, बिकॉज कुछ ना कुछ स्लिप होता ही है पेपर में. मतलब एक क्वेश्चन सामने आएगा जो मेरे को आता है, बाद में याद आएगा कैसे करना था, एग्जाम के अंदर नहीं स्ट्राइक करेगा. दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स कीप हैपनिंग, राइट. सो यू हैव टू कीप दिस थिंग. सो ऑलवेज कीप ट्रैकिंग एज यू प्रिपेयर. जैसे तुमने अरिथमेटिक सपोज कर लिया 8 हफ्ते में, तो चेक करो कि तुम्हारे एबिलिटी स्कोर अब मेरे को थोड़े ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन आने लगे हैं कि नहीं, विदाउट टाइम प्रेस. डोंट बॉदर अबाउट लुकिंग एट व्हाट स्कोर यू आर गेटिंग. मेरे को 22 क्वेश्चन में से कितना आता है, अगर मेरे को टाइम प्रेशर हटा दिया जाए मैं कितना सॉल्व कर सकता हूँ, राइट. सो ब्रॉडली स्पीकिंग आई वॉज टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्कोर टारगेट्स. तो एक चीज़ याद रखो, somebody who can score 30s, who can score 30s in the CAT with time pressure will actually be able to score 45 to 50 without time pressure. Somebody who can score 40s with time pressure will actually be able to score around 55 plus with time pressure. Somebody who scores 50s without time pressure, with time pressure, actually can score 63 to 66. That means you can do almost all the questions in the paper if there's no time limit and if there's no time pressure. So broadly you're talking about, you have to try not just focus on this, you also have to focus on this. Have I reached this point? Because अगर मेरा ये 40s में है और मैं देख रहा हूँ कि मेरे को 20s आ रहा है, राइट, लेट 20s आ रहा है, मैं चाह रहा हूँ कि 40s पहुँच जाए, जब तक ये नहीं बढ़ेगा तब तक वो नहीं बढ़ेगा, राइट. सो ऑलवेज रिमेंबर दिस फैक्टर. And bottom line, more problem solving, whether you want assisted problem solving, if you need a lot of assistance while you're solving questions in the chapter, or bottom line, ultimately final तो तुमको किसी भी chapter को close करने के पहले self problem solving करना पड़ेगा. And as I told you, the general thumb rule for every chapter is 250. The only few chapters which are an exception to this 250, where the number might go to 500, Those chapters are number systems, those chapters are functions, the chapters are equation and geometry. ये 4 चैप्टर में करीब 500 क्वेश्चन ईच करने पड़ेंगे तुमको ऑन ए सेल्फ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग मोड. जिस दिन तुम्हारे 500 क्वेश्चन हो गए तो यू विल एक्सपेक्ट कि कैट में जो 2 क्वेश्चन आएंगे तुमसे हो जाएंगे वो, राइट. जिस दिन जब तक तुमने वो 500 क्वेश्चन या 250 क्वेश्चन किसी चैप्टर के सेल्फ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग मोड में नहीं किया है, यू नॉट डन इट, तो कैट में जब तुमको उस चैप्टर के 2 या 3 क्वेश्चन आएंगे तो तुमसे 1 बनेगा, 2 नहीं बनेगा. उस तरह का सिचुएशन आएगा विच यू डोंट वांट, विच यू वांट टू अवॉइड, बिकॉज दैट इज what this thing your score. And then of course when you come to the testing phase, we will talk about the testing phase. And of course when you are entering, I always keep talking about this, ये बार-बार मैं बोला भी है, मेरा एक काफ़ी popular video on how to study quants. We'll put a link for that. It's got something like 60,000 views. उस वीडियो में मैंने बताया कि क्वांट्स में किसी भी क्वेश्चन में इट्स बेसिकली ट्रिगर्स एंड रिएक्शंस. द क्वेश्चन टेल्स यू व्हाट टू डू, इट्स ट्रिगर्स ऑफ सर्टेन थिंकिंग, it tries to trigger off certain thinking in you, and if you've got the thought process, it will give you the answer. So triggers and reactions, if you are not able to solve a question, it means you are missing some triggers and you don't know what to react to it. So broadly, every chapter pe the focus is on making sure that I know everything, every twist and turn that this chapter takes, every kind of trigger that chapter throws, मुझे पता रहना चाहिए, right? So this is something that you actually focus on. And during the testing phase, of course, you focus on 3 kinds of tests. You focus on the full length mocks, you focus on sectional tests, and you focus on your CAT PYQs. And when you're doing these tests and you're getting your sectional score on quants, keep track. The sectional score is actually a performance score, right? So if you're targeting 30s and you're getting 15, 20, just try to measure from time to time, try to keep measuring whether you know, if you're wanting 30s, as I said, you need to be able to get 45 to 50 without time pressure. So without time pressure, do you know 15, 16 questions? अगर 15, 16 questions without time pressure नहीं आता है और तुम expect कर रहे हो कि 30 score करोगे एग्जाम में, तो होने नहीं वाला है वो. So then you need to rework कि okay, which chapter I need to go back to for another round. Which chapter may I need to go back to the theory because I am still not understood the theory clearly. Which chapter do I need to do more problem solving in a self mode? Which chapter, which topics do I need more problem solving in assisted mode? These are things that you keep arguing with yourself. You keep reasoning, you keep building the logic for all this, and you keep coming back to the preparation and keep doing it. And if as far as you're ready for doing that, I think you can actually make it big in this exam. Those of you looking for a program, we have the MindWorks CAT Classroom course. This is weekend and weekday batches in the CP Delhi Center. I am also one of the faculties who takes the course, and we have a structure, a strategy in which we get the course covered multiple times, because when I talk about this, that multiple rounds of preparation chahiye tumko. Our course, the MindWorks course, is actually built to help you in even if you come back to a 5th round of preparation on a topic. We are very conscious of the fact that we should give you live classes as well as recorded classes, which will support your 5th round of preparation. So our focus is very clear. We want to be very good with your 1st round of teaching, but we also want to be available to you and give you content for 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds, which is why we have this multiple teachers, multiple times basics and boosters model in this thing. And of course, you've got you can have a look. This is the number you can call in case you are looking for. Of course, if you're going for self preparation, be my guest and do it. But we also have a complete online program, which also you can look at, and the same numbers you can call for inquiring about that. Chalo, thanks a lot. I hope this was useful to all of you. And हाँ, एबिलिटी इंप्रूव होने के बाद परफॉर्मेंस अगर नहीं इंप्रूव होगा तो बेसिकली एबिलिटी एक बार आ जाता है तो उसके बाद एफिशिएंसी पे काम करना पड़ता है. देखो, जब तुमको स्कोर तुम्हारा 30s लाना चाह रहे हो तुम और तुम्हारा स्कोर 15-20 आ रहा है, 2 कारण हो सकते हैं. तुम्हारा 50 का एबिलिटी नहीं है, इसलिए तुम 30 से 20 के ऊपर जा नहीं पाओ. तुम्हारी एबिलिटी 35 का ही है, तो इसलिए 20 के ऊपर तुम नहीं ला पा रहे हो. दूसरा हो सकता है, तो उस केस में एबिलिटी बढ़ाओ, गेट टू 50, एंड देन automatically this 20 will become 30. The other thing that might happen is कि you are your ability is 50, but still you're getting only 20. In that case, the focus has to be on efficiency and building speed. So speed का जो work है is round, I mean, which round you want to do speed work in a chapter. हो सकता है तुम्हारा preparation ऐसा हो कि 4 चैप्टर में speed work का ज़रूरत है, 12 चैप्टर में ability work का ज़रूरत है, तो वो, and obviously speed work is very different from ability work. So you have to be able to be conscious about the fact that these are your options. एक बार awareness हो जाएगा तो तुमको अपने आप समझ में आ जाएगा. मतलब टूल बॉक्स में हथौड़ी और स्क्रू ड्राइवर दोनों हैं, तो कौन सा कब यूज़ करना है तुमको अपने आप समझ में आ जाता है. यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट द टूल बॉक्स इज. चलो, थैंक यू सो मच. इट वाज अ प्लेजर बीइंग विद ऑल ऑफ यू. Do spread the word around about the channel, and do share the videos so that and if you have not subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back regularly with you guys, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much. Bye bye.